Tasha had just finished mopping the marble floors of the luxury hotel where she worked as a cleaner. Drenched in sweat and fatigue, she carried her half-empty bucket across the driveway, unaware of the black sports car speeding her way. Her worn-out shoes slipped slightly on the edge of the curb, and before she could catch her balance, screeching tires filled the air. A hard thud knocked the wind out of her lungs, and she collapsed on the cold pavement. Lucas stormed out of the car, eyes wide in disbelief. He hadn't seen her. One moment, the road was clear, the next, he'd knocked someone down. "Call an ambulance," he barked at his assistant, who had been on the phone in the passenger seat. He crouched next to Tasha, noting the blood on her elbow and the fear in her eyes. "I didn't mean to." "I'm so sorry," he muttered, suddenly unsure of himself for the first time in years. As the sirens wailed in the distance, Tasha could barely keep her eyes open. She didn't recognize the man kneeling beside her, didn't know he was the billionaire owner of the very hotel she cleaned every day. All she knew was pain and confusion. Lucas held her hand tightly, guilt already twisting in his chest. He didn't know then, but his life was about to spiral into chaos, all because of this one woman. Tasha woke up in a sterile white room with her leg in a cast and bruises covering her body. She blinked in confusion, trying to remember how she got there. A nurse explained she had been hit by a car and was recovering well, but she would be unable to walk for weeks. The moment the nurse left, Lucas walked in, looking more nervous than he ever did during billion-dollar meetings. "I'm the one who hit you," Lucas said, standing awkwardly at the edge of her bed. "I want to make this right. I'll pay your hospital bills and your salary until you recover." But Tasha shook her head. "I don't want charity. I want my job back when I'm healed." Her tone was firm, even though her body was weak. Lucas didn't expect that. Most people begged him for help. She refused it with dignity. From the hallway, murmurs spread among the hospital staff. Who was this cleaner who had the city's most eligible billionaire visiting her daily? Rumors began to swirl. Some said she was pregnant with his child. Others claimed she was blackmailing him. But the truth was far more complicated. Lucas couldn't stop thinking about her, and it had nothing to do with guilt. Back in his penthouse, Lucas found himself distracted. Every time he tried to focus on business, his mind drifted to Tasha, her eyes, her voice, the way she refused his money. She wasn't like the women he was used to. They wore designer dresses and faked laughter. Tasha was raw and real, even when broken. He hated himself for being curious, but he couldn't help it. Meanwhile, Tasha struggled in the hospital bed. With no family around, the loneliness was thick. But each day, Lucas visited her, bringing books, snacks, and sometimes just silence. She tried to keep her guard up, but his presence chipped away at her walls. One afternoon, he made her laugh, and something in her heart shifted. It scared her more than the accident. Lucas's assistant, Nathan, noticed the change. "Are you seriously falling for a cleaner?" he asked, half joking. But Lucas didn't laugh. "I don't know what this is, but I can't stop thinking about her." Nathan warned him to be careful. "She's not from your world." But Lucas didn't care about worlds. He cared about Tasha. And he was willing to cross any line to get close. While Lucas's interest in Tasha grew, others began to take notice. Amelia, Lucas's ex and a socialite known for her manipulative ways, saw photos of him at the hospital and immediately felt threatened. She had never been replaced by someone so common. Jealousy surged. She wasn't going to let a cleaner take what she once called hers. Tasha was released from the hospital with a walking aid and a private nurse, courtesy of Lucas, who insisted despite her protests. When she returned to the hotel to visit her co-workers, whispers followed her. "She's the billionaire's new toy," someone sneered. It cut deep. She had worked too hard to be reduced to a rumor. But she held her head high. Later that evening, Amelia arranged a private dinner with Lucas under the guise of catching up. She wore the red dress he used to love, hoping to spark old flames. "I saw you've been spending time with your accident," she said coolly, sipping wine. Lucas raised an eyebrow. "Her name is Tasha," he replied sharply. Amelia smirked. "Names don't change who people really are." That night, Lucas realized how deep the divide between his world and Tasha's truly was, and how badly he wanted to close it. Tasha returned to work part-time, even though Lucas offered her a leave extension. She didn't want favors, she wanted to prove herself. But the hotel wasn't the same. People stared. Some were jealous, others curious. She found solace in cleaning the top floor, where she rarely ran into guests. Ironically, that's where Lucas lived whenever he stayed on site. One evening, while she mopped the hallway near Lucas's suite, the door opened and he stepped out. "I didn't expect to see you here," he said with a warm smile. She looked up, flustered. "I'm just doing my job." He invited her in for coffee, just coffee. She hesitated but followed. They sat in his sprawling living room, talking about everything and nothing. And for the first time in weeks, it felt natural. But it wasn't just coffee. As the night deepened, so did the silence between words. Lucas reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her face. She looked into his eyes, uncertain. "Are you doing this because you feel guilty?" she asked. Lucas leaned in closer. "I'm doing this because I can't stop thinking about you." When he kissed her, it was soft, unexpected, and electric. Nothing about it felt like pity. Tasha woke up in Lucas's suite wrapped in one of his shirts, the city lights glowing beyond the glass wall. It wasn't just a kiss, they had crossed a line. She sat up slowly, trying to make sense of what happened. Her heart battled her mind. Was she just another conquest to him, or did this mean something deeper? Lucas stirred beside her, sensing the tension. "You regret it?" he asked quietly. Tasha didn't respond immediately. "I just don't want to be a story people tell behind closed doors." He nodded, knowing exactly what she meant. "Then let's keep it ours," he offered. She smiled faintly, but a part of her wasn't convinced things would stay simple. The world outside wouldn't be so forgiving. Already, Amelia had her suspicions confirmed by the hotel staff. She wasn't going to sit back and watch. Tasha was from the streets, easy to crush, easy to replace. At least, that's what Amelia believed. But she had no idea who she was up against. Amelia arrived at Tasha's tiny apartment uninvited, leaning on the doorframe like she owned the world. "You're quite the climber," she said coldly. "Sleeping your way up?" Tasha narrowed her eyes. "If you came here to insult me, you can leave." Amelia smirked. "Oh, I came to offer a deal. Leave Lucas, and I'll pay you more than you've ever seen." Tasha stood tall, despite the pain still in her leg. "You think I want him for money? That's your world, not mine." Amelia stepped forward, her voice sharp. "He belongs to our world. You're just a phase. And when it ends, it'll destroy you." Tasha slammed the door in her face, hands trembling. She hated drama, but now she was neck-deep in it. Lucas heard about the visit later that night. He was furious and confronted Amelia. "You crossed the line." She laughed bitterly. "You're throwing your life away for a cleaner?" Lucas didn't respond. He just walked out, heading to Tasha's apartment. He didn't say a word when she opened the door, he just pulled her into a tight embrace. The next morning, photos of Lucas and Tasha holding hands at a cafe surfaced online. The headlines were cruel: "Billionaire falls for his victim, from mop to mistress." Tasha's phone exploded with messages. Her co-workers avoided her. Some mocked her behind her back. She felt like she was drowning in judgment. Lucas tried to shield her from the media, even offered to fly her out for a break. But she refused. "If I run, they win," she said. Still, the pressure built. One of the tabloids published an old picture of her sleeping outside a shelter, claiming she was homeless and using Lucas for a better life. The pain stung deep. Lucas called an emergency meeting with his legal team. "Find the source of the leak. I want them buried." But Tasha begged him not to go after anyone. "That only makes it worse. Let it pass." But he knew it wouldn't pass. Not in his world. And especially not with the vultures circling around the woman he was beginning to love. The tension finally cracked. Tasha packed a small bag and left without warning. She left a note on Lucas's kitchen counter: "I need space to breathe. I'm not made for this storm." When Lucas returned and found the note, something inside him broke. He had never chased anyone before. But for Tasha, he would. Tasha found refuge in an old friend's apartment on the city's edge. She returned to cleaning part-time in a local motel under a fake name. She needed clarity, needed to find herself outside Lucas's shadow. But every night, she replayed their moments. The accident. The hospital. The kiss. The laughter. And that look in his eyes. Lucas searched for her silently. He had her apartment watched, called every contact he could think of, but Tasha had vanished. The media slowly shifted to newer scandals, but his heart didn't. He realized then, he didn't just want her in his life. He needed her. 3 weeks passed. Tasha, dressed in plain clothes, walked into a small grocery store late at night. She bumped into someone at the corner aisle, and froze. Lucas stood there, holding a bag of rice, eyes locking with hers. "You ran," he whispered. "And you found me," she replied. Neither knew what to say. Lucas moved first, dropping the bag and grabbing her hand. "Don't ever do that again. I don't care what the world says. I just want you." Tears welled in her eyes. "I was scared," she confessed. "So was I," he admitted. But in that dim aisle, the world faded away. They walked out together. No paparazzi, no reporters. Just two people, caught between chaos and something that felt like destiny. It wasn't a fairy tale, but it was real. Lucas brought Tasha to one of his quieter homes, a modest villa on the outskirts of town. No cameras. No staff. "Just peace," he said. At first, Tasha hesitated. She was used to tiny spaces, not luxury. But as days passed, she found comfort in cooking breakfast while he worked on his laptop beside her. They had quiet mornings and loud debates over movie choices. Lucas learned she loved puzzles and hated cold water. Tasha learned he snored slightly when exhausted. Slowly, the walls between them faded. One night, Lucas looked at her and asked, "Do you still think this is temporary?" She shook her head. But not everyone was happy. Amelia wasn't done yet. She had a plan, and it started with someone from Tasha's past. A knock echoed through the villa's gate. Lucas opened it to find a man with a sneer. "I'm looking for Tasha." His name was Derek, her ex. A man she hadn't seen in years. Lucas immediately disliked him. Derek smirked. "She owes me. Tell her I want what's mine." When Tasha saw him, her face went pale. "You shouldn't be here," she said, voice trembling. Derek stepped closer. "I kept quiet about your past. But now that you're living large, maybe it's time I start talking unless you pay up." Tasha's fists clenched. "I don't owe you anything. You left me for dead." Lucas wanted to punch him. But Tasha stopped him. "He wants to drag me down. I won't give him the satisfaction." She turned to Derek with fire in her eyes. "Go ahead. Say what you want. I'm not ashamed of surviving." Derek left empty-handed, but not defeated. He had one more trick up his sleeve. The next morning, headlines exploded again. "Billionaire's girlfriend has a criminal record?" A blurred mugshot of Tasha from her teenage years was everywhere. It was from a night she was arrested for loitering while homeless. The story painted her as a scam artist who used sympathy to target wealthy men. Tasha collapsed into a chair, trembling. "This is what he wanted," she said bitterly. Lucas wrapped his arms around her. "Let them talk. I know who you are." But the pressure was back. His business partners were calling. Stockholders demanded he distance himself. He didn't budge. Lucas held a press conference, not for business, but personal truth. "Tasha is not a con. She's the strongest woman I've met. Her past doesn't scare me. It inspires me." The world didn't change overnight, but the narrative started to shift. And for the first time, Tasha felt proud, not ashamed. While Lucas defended Tasha, Amelia was working with Derek behind the scenes. They forged documents suggesting Tasha had manipulated Lucas into transferring company shares to her. The goal? Frame her for fraud and get her arrested. Tasha received a court summons and thought it was a joke. "I didn't sign anything," she cried. But the documents said otherwise. Lucas's legal team was confused, everything looked real. Lucas, however, never doubted her. "We'll fight this. Together." The court date was set, and media houses licked their lips in anticipation. If Tasha was found guilty, she could go to prison. And Amelia would have successfully removed her from Lucas's life, forever. Lucas reviewed footage from his office, determined to find proof of Tasha's innocence. After hours of watching recordings, he spotted something: Derek entering his office late one evening with Amelia's security badge. The footage showed him scanning fake documents on Lucas's printer. They had what they needed. Lucas brought the evidence to the police. Derek was arrested, and Amelia was summoned for questioning. When confronted, she cracked, blaming Derek and claiming she was manipulated. But Lucas didn't care. "I want her banned from every building I own," he ordered coldly. Tasha was cleared. But the damage had been done emotionally. She asked Lucas, "Will this ever stop?" He took her hands and said, "No. But I'm never letting you go through it alone again. Lucas took Tasha to a quiet cliff overlooking the sea, their favorite spot. As the sun dipped below the horizon, he dropped to one knee. You walked into my life by accident, and now I can't imagine it without you. Will you marry me? Tasha gasped, tears brimming. Lucas, are you sure? He smiled. More sure than anything I've ever done. She didn't hesitate. Yes. 1,000,000 times yes. They kissed as waves crashed far below, sealing a new chapter. When the news broke, the media lost its mind. Some fans loved the underdog love story. Others accused her of gold digging again. But Tasha had stopped listening to those voices. Her answer was clear: she loved him. Lucas's family had kept quiet until now. His father arrived unexpectedly at their villa. He looked Tasha up and down with disapproval. She's not one of us, he said to Lucas. And yet, she's the only one who stayed when I was drowning, Lucas replied sharply. Tasha stayed silent as father and son argued. Lucas defended her fiercely. But his father made a threat before leaving. If you marry her, don't expect our family name to back you anymore. Lucas shrugged. Then I'll make a new name. Tasha was shaken. I don't want to come between you and your family. Lucas pulled her close. They had years to stand by me. You did it in days. I choose you. On their wedding morning, Tasha's dress went missing. The designer claimed it was picked up already, but she hadn't sent anyone. In its place, an old, torn gown was delivered. Amelia's doing, no doubt. Tasha refused to be ruined. With just hours left, she wore a simple white dress from a thrift shop. They can take my gown, but not my happiness. Lucas was waiting at the altar, dressed in black, eyes full of awe as he saw her walk in. They exchanged vows in front of a small crowd of true friends. No cameras, no media. Just real love. From a mop to my heart, Lucas whispered as he kissed her. And just like that, Tasha was officially Mrs. Ashford. They flew off for a quiet honeymoon, but someone leaked their location. Tasha was stalked by paparazzi and nearly fell while trying to escape their flashbulbs. Lucas was enraged. This isn't love. This is war, he said. He bought out the entire resort and had every staff member sign a silence contract. Still, the honeymoon was tense. Tasha smiled, but her eyes told another story. I'm tired of fighting, she admitted. Lucas nodded. Then let me carry the weight for a while. They spent the rest of the trip underwater diving, hiking through waterfalls, and laughing like teenagers. In those moments, they were just two people in love, no money, no media, no ghosts. Back home, Tasha got a message: your mother is in the hospital. She hadn't seen her mother since she ran away years ago. Her heart thudded. She told Lucas everything, about the abuse, the abandonment. I don't owe her anything, she said. But still, they went. Her mother was frail, and seeing Tasha brought tears to her eyes. I didn't know how to find you, she whispered. Tasha sat stiffly. Now you do. Why now? Her mother confessed that cancer had brought regret. Tasha didn't forgive her fully, but she stayed. Just for a while. And Lucas stood beside her, silently, letting her make peace with a past that had haunted her. Months after their wedding, Tasha began feeling dizzy and tired. At first, she blamed stress. But a test confirmed it, she was pregnant. She stared at the result, speechless. A cleaner turned wife, and now, soon-to-be mother. Lucas was over the moon. He lifted her off the ground and spun her around. "We're having a baby." He immediately started planning, but Tasha stopped him. "Can we enjoy this quietly first?" He nodded. They kept it between them for as long as they could. But secrets don't last long. The media caught on. "Billionaire baby incoming, cleaner turned queen." Tasha rolled her eyes. "Guess I'll never outrun that title." Lucas kissed her stomach. "Let them talk. You're already royalty to me." Lucas planned a private baby shower, but someone leaked the venue to the media. Paparazzi swarmed the location, shouting insulting questions at Tasha, calling her names, questioning the paternity. Tasha was rushed out the back door in tears. Lucas went silent the whole ride home. When they got inside, he exploded. "I'm done playing polite. I will sue every one of those leeches." But Tasha stopped him. "They don't get to ruin our joy. Not today." She set up a little celebration at home with balloons and cupcakes. "This is all I ever wanted," she said, cradling her bump. Lucas knelt before her, kissing her belly. "Our baby will know strength because they'll have you as a mother." Just when life began to feel calm, Amelia resurfaced. This time, she claimed to be pregnant with Lucas's child. "We had a night before you met the cleaner. This baby is yours," she announced on national TV, holding up a sonogram. Lucas was furious. "She's lying. I never touched her." But the media ran with it. Tasha didn't say a word for hours. When she finally did, her voice was low. "Do you believe her?" Lucas grabbed her hand. "I only believe in you." DNA tests were arranged. The results proved the baby wasn't his. Amelia had used donor sperm and lied to trap him. Lucas pressed charges for defamation. But the emotional weight it placed on Tasha couldn't be undone overnight. Late one night, Tasha woke with sharp pains. She clutched her stomach, breathless. Lucas rushed her to the hospital, fearing the worst. Doctors stabilized her, false labor brought on by stress. But they warned her, "You need complete rest." Lucas canceled every meeting and moved their bedroom downstairs so she wouldn't need stairs. He became her shadow, cooking, cleaning, reading her baby books. "This is my full-time job now," he said with a wink. As Tasha watched him wipe her feet gently one night, she whispered, "I still can't believe you ran me over." He smiled, eyes soft. "Best mistake of my life." One day, Lucas received a mysterious email, a CCTV clip from the day of the accident. It showed something he'd never noticed. Tasha wasn't just crossing the street, she was saving a child who had wandered into the road. He showed her the footage, and she froze. "I didn't even remember that. I was just acting on instinct." Lucas looked at her in awe. "So you didn't just change my life, you saved another too." The story was shared online, and for the first time, public opinion shifted in Tasha's favor. From cleaner to hero, the headlines read. And this time, it felt earned. At 3 a.m., Tasha's water broke. Lucas drove like a madman, forgetting every speed limit. "I'm not delivering this baby in the car," he shouted. Hours later, cries filled the delivery room. It was a girl, with big eyes and Lucas's dimples. Tasha cried as she held her. "She's perfect." Lucas kissed their daughter's forehead. She's strong, like you. They named her Alina, meaning light, because she had come through darkness and chaos to bring joy. The world welcomed the baby with headlines and hashtags, but Lucas and Tasha kept the celebration private. This moment was theirs alone. Shortly after the birth, strange things began happening. Photos of Alina appeared online, photos no one else had. A red envelope arrived at their gate with the words, "You don't deserve this life." Lucas beefed up security. Tasha was terrified. What if they come for Alina? Lucas swore to protect them both. He hired private investigators, and it didn't take long to trace the stalker. It was a bitter ex-employee Lucas had fired for fraud. He was arrested, but the fear lingered. Tasha never left Alina alone again. And Lucas made sure no one ever got that close to his family again. A producer contacted Tasha with an idea: turn her life into a drama series. It'll be a hit, they said. But Tasha refused. My life isn't entertainment. It's real. And I don't want strangers rewriting my truth. Lucas supported her decision. You don't need to sell your story to prove your worth. You already proved it by surviving it. The producer pushed again with more money, but Tasha stood firm. For once, she wasn't just reacting, she was choosing. Her peace meant more than fame. Tasha went back to her old neighborhood, disguised with a hoodie. She visited the janitor closet where she once cried between shifts. It was empty now. I used to think this was all I'd ever be, she whispered. Lucas joined her, holding Alina in his arms. And now you're everything to us. Tasha took a mop handle and carved her initials up the corner. So no girl who comes here next thinks she's invisible. That night, she slept peacefully for the first time in months. She had faced the ghosts of who she was, and smiled. Lucas received an anonymous call. His car accident that day wasn't entirely accidental. Someone had tampered with his brakes. That's why he lost control and hit Tasha. It turned out to be a competitor trying to eliminate him. The hit had failed, and instead, fate had introduced him to the love of his life. So, I wasn't just hit. I was chosen, Tasha said, stunned. The revelation shook them, but it also brought clarity. Even evil plans can be redirected by destiny, Lucas said. I was meant to meet you, no matter what. One of the loudest voices that had criticized Tasha, the talk show host who once called her a social climber, invited her for a public apology. I misjudged you, she said on live TV. You're not a story, you're an inspiration. Tasha sat tall and calm. Thank you, but I didn't do this for applause. I did it to survive. She spoke about pain, perseverance, and finding love when she least expected it. The audience rose to their feet. And this time, they clapped not for a scandal, but for strength. Lucas's grandfather passed away, leaving behind a secret will. In it, he stated that the family fortune should be given to the one who loves with humility. Lucas was shocked. His grandfather had known all along that his heart had changed. Tasha, a cleaner once scorned, now stood beside a man who inherited everything, because of her. Lucas smiled at her. You didn't just change my life. You changed the legacy of my family. Tasha looked at Alina in her arms. Then let's raise her with the same heart. Humble. Brave. Honest. One afternoon, as they played in the garden, a familiar face appeared, Rita, one of Tasha's old co-workers from her cleaning days. She was shy and still wore her faded uniform. I heard everything. I just wanted to say, you gave me hope. Tasha hugged her. I was once where you are. You're not stuck. You're just on your way. She helped Rita get enrolled in evening classes. No one helped me. So I'll help others now. That night, Tasha and Lucas sat by the fireplace, watching Alina sleep. It's not just about where you came from, Tasha whispered. It's about where you dare to go. Tasha got an invite to speak at the place she once mopped floors. The irony wasn't lost on her. Standing on stage, she looked into the crowd of young janitors, security guards, and cafeteria workers. I used to clean these very floors. People didn't see me. But I saw myself. And that was enough. Her voice didn't shake this time. It carried power. You matter. Don't wait for someone to notice. Notice yourself first. Tears filled many eyes that day. Tasha wasn't just a cleaner anymore. She was proof that dignity couldn't be erased, even by a mop. Years passed. Alina grew into a bright little girl with her mother's fire and her father's charm. Lucas and Tasha still walked hand in hand, still laughed in the kitchen, still kissed when no one was looking. People still whispered. Some praised, some judged. But none of it mattered anymore. They'd built a life on truth, love, and resilience. And every time Lucas looked at the scar on his bumper, the one from that fateful accident, he smiled. Because it reminded him of the day he ran over a cleaner and found the woman who cleaned the mess in his heart.
That's the end of the story. What did you learn about the story? Please leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories. Thanks for watching.